All right, welcome to our next session of Testimonies with Todd. Today I have some very special guests with me, but before I introduce them, just a reminder for those who don't listen, this kind of derived from a text thread with some people when I went to camp, those who were just talking about their testimonies, and now we're here. So it's really just about sharing your testimony because everybody's testimony is important, right? Some people think that their testimony is not, but you never know who you're going to be able to touch, reach out to, and who you're going to connect with. This one's special to me because my very dear friends, Shawn and Lois Johns. Hi, guys.
Hi.
They're here to share their testimony, which is deep. And for those who have young ears out there, I want to caveat this may not be for them, so parental guidance suggested, possibly. But I want to make sure because I know most of your guys' story, and it's a lot to take in for most people, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was life like before Jesus came into your life, before you were saved? Lois, we'll start with you.
So if we go all the way back to when Shawn and I met,
Okay.
that was 2017. I was nothing but drugs. We did have good times, but it was mainly drug filled constantly. And it just started with pills. And then we kind of spun down a spiral that way onto heroin.
How did if you don't mind, not to interrupt you, but how did it all start? Like was it those drugs just always in your life? Did it just kind of happen?
So when I moved down here, I had been sober for probably like 6 months.
Okay.
Shawn was already doing pills, right?
Lortabs and Roxy's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just kind of one of those. I just took one just for the heck of it.
Right.
And
Experiment.
yeah, well, I've been an addict since I was 21, so
Okay.
it was just kind of like, hey, I can take one and it's not going to affect me again.
Right.
And we got tired of those basically because they weren't doing anything anymore for us.
Tolerance level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we switched to heroin and we were just sniffing it. I spun out of control. I had a friend that we used to work at a restaurant in Ocala, and we would always stop at our dealer's house on the way to work because we always had to be there at 6 a.m.
Okay.
And there was one morning that we couldn't get a hold of him, and I was really, really sick. So she has somebody that can get another pill, it's Dilaudid, but it doesn't do anything unless you shoot it up.
Okay.
So I swore up and down I would never, and I wound up in the bathroom at Aunt Fanny's at 6 a.m. that morning shooting up a Dilaudid. And I loved how it felt, honestly, it did. And for the next year and a half, 2 years, I hid that from Shawn.
Okay.
He didn't know I was shooting up because I was still sniffing heroin with him.
Okay.
So I hid that from him for a long time.
On top of.
Yeah. So I got really bad. I actually spent the rent money on 2 of our houses. Lost 2 of our houses. And then I wound up on probation because I was doing fraudulent returns at Family Dollar to make my money from my next fix.
Right.
And they caught me, and I got put on probation, and we were already fighting pretty bad. I would blame him because I couldn't get off the heroin to pass my drug test, so it would just constantly be a fight between us.
Just a back and forth.
Yeah.
Your fault, my fault, your fault, my
Yeah,
fault.
and I'm greedy. I'm an addict. Like, he'd be at work all day, and I'd be at home, and I'm thinking he's doing it all day at work, and like he's not bringing me home any, and it snowballed. It really did. I wound up leaving.
Before you even came to Florida, was church, God, ever a part of conversation, life, family?
I grew up in it. I grew up forced to go to church on the
Okay.
weekends. I was with my mom. I did catechism in a matter of 2 weekends
Okay.
at my mom's because that's all I was there. So I was forced to learn everything in a matter of like 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So, like, my kids were both baptized, but I didn't, after I got out from under my parents, it wasn't really something that I kept up just because I was forced to go through it when I was younger. Like, we all had matching Easter dresses and stuff. Like, on holidays, and there
It
were
was just
old
a program.
hymns.
It was what you did.
Yeah, and it was the old hymns, and that wasn't for me.
Right.
Until I got into recovery. So.
And then fast forward back to where we were in the story.
Since I couldn't get off of probation, I left Shawn.
Yeah. So you left him.
I left him.
You guys left each other?
No, I left him.
Should tell him how it happened.
Which time?
The first time, I guess.
When I ran the truck into the neighbor's car? Oh, not that time?
Yeah, that time. Yeah.
So I left at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning because I was really sick and he was sleeping. So I borrowed some money from him and I backed our truck out.
Is it borrowed?
Yeah, I borrowed. Yeah, I borrowed.
Exclamation.
Yeah, I borrowed.
Quotation marks? That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. And when I left, I backed our truck out and I drove the whole side down the neighbor's car. And so I started smoking crack to get off the heroin. Mm-hmm. And I got really bad. I got really bad. And I don't remember exactly when, but I wound up leaving because I was blaming him for everything. And I wound up getting arrested because I violated probation and community control. And I went to prison for 1 year and a day. When I got out of prison, I hadn't seen or talked to him in like a year. And I went to Jacksonville so I could change my people, places, and things.
Right.
And I was there, not even like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I called him. I was like, hey, I miss you.
Yeah.
Him and Nathan drove up. We went to the beach in Jacksonville. It was the first time I've ever been to the beach since I've been in Florida. And they went home, and we talked later on that night. And the next weekend, he was driving back up there to bring me home. Then we got really bad on meth. And that was just extremely toxic for both of us. And we were back together for maybe a year at that time?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I was on probation though.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even doing it until I was off of probation.
Yeah. And then we celebrated.
Yeah, and then we celebrated it, and then literally we broke up that weekend.
Yeah, we did. When I left him and came out to the berries, and that was 2020. Yeah, September 1st, 2019.
Before the pandemic?
No, the pandemic was in 2020,
right?
right?
Was
Yeah, so it was right after. It was September of 2020. That I came out to the
That's when it was
berries.
coming out of its...
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was September, because, I remember that. So, yeah, that was the first half of our story. Shawn's got some parts to put in there, too, though.
And then how long after that was the knock on the door?
Till I went to Rehab.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yep.
And you were incarcerated for how long?
Oh, I was in and out of jail for... Okay, so the 2 years that I was in Tiberias,
Yeah.
I think I spent a total
Yeah.
of 13, 14 months in jail over those 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It was in and out,
A
in
good
and out.
chunk of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
And then the knock on the door.
Yep.
And then we'll get to the next part of that because I know that story. That's my favorite part.
Oh.
That's it. So then, Shawn,
Yeah.
what was that life like for you?
Some parts were good and some parts weren't. I definitely lived life, and I had health problems still. So I still had Nathan. I still had a house. So I wasn't necessarily in the ground yet. I was a weekend warrior, I guess you could say. And then,
Yeah.
the last time I did it was, or did anything, that's when I woke up and realized that I can't, And then about the same time is when she sent me a message, 2.5 years ago.
What was home life like? Like church, God, was that ever a part of the conversation?
It was. So in the last 10 years or so, I did go to church. Not every weekend. I was saved from my brother's ex-wife's pastor or father.
Okay.
So that was 12 years ago. When my brother got married, he married into the church. Right. So I got saved there, but I was still messing up.
Okay.
So
were there still drugs in the picture?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
when I was living with them, when I
Yeah.
had Nathan, when I first got custody of Nathan, I lived with them, so there wasn't any drugs then.
Right.
It's just when I moved out and moved to the beach with my mom, that's when, the drinking and then the other, cocaine started, and
When did the pacemaker happen?
that was 9-10 years ago. So I was working for a pool builder,
Yeah.
and I would get paid cash every day.
Yeah.
So I would go.
Addict's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So I would go buy pills at the end of the day, every day.
Yeah.
And then one weekend, I was still going to church, in fact. So, because the girl I was with, she was the false prophet I was with, she was an old pastor.
Okay.
So we would go to church, but obviously I still had addiction. So one night I got a motel room and literally smoked $800 worth of crack. So
That's a lot.
yeah, a week later I had my heart attack.
Ah, and that's when
That's when I got that put
the
in.
pacemaker was put in.
Yep. So after that, my dad passed away literally 2 weeks after that. And then on the same day, I found out that the lady I was with was having sexual relations with my coworker.
Right.
So then that just made everything worse and made my addiction worse. And I was at the
Spiral.
bar, and I don't think I woke up from that soiree for like 5 days.
Just a bender.
Bender. Yeah, bender. That's how much. I mean, I was hurt.
When did prison happen?
So between our first and second relationship, I got with my ex.
Uh-huh.
That would have been Sarah.
Okay.
Oh boy. She was a piece of work. So me and her would party, every weekend, because I
Right.
still had a job. I had Nathan,
Yeah, what was the term we used? Functioning.
functioning. Yeah,
You're a functioning
yeah,
addict,
There
yeah.
you go. We got high that weekend, and then she was crazy. Like, she literally was nuts, psycho. So I was sleeping. It was on a Monday night, and we had partied all weekend. I went to work that day. I was sleeping. She came home from Charlie Horse, which is in Ocala, wanting to fight. So I pushed her off of me, and when I pushed her off of me, I had a closed fist.
Oh no.
No. So I went to jail for 5 days.
That's it. Okay,
Yeah, I
that
went to
part.
jail for 5 days.
Yeah.
Then got put on probation.
Right.
And before, I would do heroin every day,
Yeah.
because obviously that addiction was still there. Or if not every day, it was every other day.
Yeah.
So after I got put on probation, that stopped.
Okay.
Because the fear of going to jail will make you not want to do anything. When I got put on probation, I got the new house in Bellevue,
Yeah.
because I couldn't go back to that house, or the apartment that I was at.
Right.
So after that, I would say 8 months after that, me and her went into our second relationship.
And it continued.
For about a year.
The party.
Yes.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
was good, actually.
But you guys are still partying.
No, because I was on probation.
You
Right.
weren't.
But
I
after
would-
you got off
I would.
probation.
Yes, we had one weekend together, and then that was it.
And then after that split, you continued.
Yeah.
You didn't?
Mm.
It was like once every 4 months.
Okay. But it wasn't like it was.
No,
It wasn't every day. It
because
wasn't.
I still, around the same time, I had left a pool builder and went somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was high one time, and then obviously, everybody knew. Like I said, it would happen around once every 4 months.
Okay.
And then it would take like 3 weeks to come back into like the actual realm of being, normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of not having the high.
Not having
feeling
yeah,
it.
Yeah, because meth is, it's like it puts you in a psychosis if you do it for so long.
A fog.
A fog, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's a fair statement?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a fair statement. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I would go more than that and say psychosis, but fog is like,
And about
Like-
sums it up.
Like
Yeah.
you're not there, but you're there?
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Like you're detached.
Okay.
detached.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. And then
So-
when was the date of I've been clean ever since?
Your last ablation.
Yeah, my last ablation.
Ablation.
I have heart trouble, obviously.
Right. Yep.
So around the same time that after we split up,
Yep.
I got with some girl,
Yeah.
Another crazy one.
another crazy one, yeah, and started doing, drugs with that one. Every once in a while. I mean, I can't say I did it all the time, but then she wound up pregnant. So we had obviously got an abortion, and I kind of, I hate to say this, but I thank God every day, because that's how crazy she was, and my life would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Like, really screwed.
Been a totally different outcome, right?
Yeah, totally different outcome. Like, it would be problems every day if that didn't happen. A little while after that is when I had my ablation, and then right after my ablation, I got high because I was going through all that. And then after that, I said, I'm done.
What is an ablation?
An ablation is when they go in, they went in through this way because they did a device change, but they go in catheter.
Okay.
And burn the dead ends of your heart.
To kind of seal it up.
Kind of make it better.
Make it better, yeah. Heal it in a sense.
Heal it, yeah.
And then that was the point.
That was the point, yeah. That was the point, and that I was done.
Ever since.
Months after that, we rekindled our relationship, and then I met you guys. I met Ryan Tim. I started going to church.
And we'll get into that in a second. So, because you have to talk about how amazing we are yet. So, the knock on the door.
The famous knock on the door.
Yes.
That was October 3rd. So September 21st of 2022, I walked out of the door of jail for the last time. Thank God, knock on wood, I'm never going back. I'm not gonna say never. When you say never, then
not for that reason.
Right.
And God
so the last time I got arrested was August 3rd of 2022. Okay. The reason why I remember is because my oldest daughter had actually just sent me a friend request on Facebook, and she hadn't talked to me since she got married, and I wasn't invited in September of 2020.
Right.
So she had sent me a friend request, and I'm like, okay, like I was so messed up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stop. Courtney's talking to me again. And it was her birthday, and before I could send her a message to wish her a happy birthday for the first time in 2 years, I got pulled over. And I was wasted. So they took me to jail that night, and then I gave them a false ID. I told them I was somebody else. I had their ID on me. I didn't look nothing like the person, but, addicts will try anything. So,
right.
So they let me out of jail September 21st. And that happens to be one of my sister's birthdays too, so it's just ironic because I got clean off of heroin and the needle back on September 21st, 2018 before I went to prison. Okay. So that's the last time I did heroin or the needle. So this time I got out of jail and I had nowhere to go because the guy I was seeing, he ran off with some other bimbo and took my tent.
Not Shawn.
No.
Okay.
The other guy. Because prior to the knock, I'd been living on the streets in Tiberias in a tent for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
That's just, it's crazy. It really is. Yeah, so when I got out of jail, I was hanging out in Eustis somewhere, and I'd been up straight for 6 days. I was at somebody's house. I don't remember the guy's name. But 2 girls were trying to beat me up because my ex owed their dope man money. So I ran out of the house, and I went running down the street. And I decided to hide out behind somebody's house because I was like in the fog, like so bad.
Yeah.
So I was hiding out behind somebody's house, and I decided to eat all the drugs I had on me because I was not going to get caught by the police with drugs on me. Because my whole goal was to have somebody call the cops to escort me out of this neighborhood. Like, it's 10 o'clock at night. Like, so I decided to knock on somebody's door, and their son's yelling at them to not answer the door, that they saw it on TikTok, that I'm just going to rob them. And I just asked them to call the cops. And nobody wanted to answer or open the door. But then Mariah walked outside, and Tim was standing behind her with a baseball bat. So I always got to put him as the villain because he likes it.
Right. Because he had the baseball bat.
Yeah.
He was scared.
Yes.
But so, not to cut it short, but to fast forward, they let you stay. The next day, hand in hand.
He took me hand to hand.
Yep.
So October 3rd, 2022 is my official clean date. They dropped me off at hand in hand.
Say it again.
October 3rd, 2022
there you go.
is my clean date. That's when my whole life changed.
Yeah.
I went into the program. I wasn't going to go any. I was only going for a couple days and I was going to run away. But one day turned into another day and then turned into a month. And then I got baptized. And then I went through first phase, second phase. And I graduated the program August 21st of 2023. In the mix of that, when I hit third phase, I called this guy here so I can make amends to him. Yeah. That's all I was calling him for. Mind you, for like a month before that, his crazy ex is sending me messages and blocking me and everything else. So, but I messed with him. I was like, oh, you have me unblocked. She must not be controlling you anymore.
And they weren't together at that time anymore, right?
No.
Yeah.
And the next weekend, he came out to see me just so we could catch up and hang out as friends. And that lasted. That lasted for what, like a month? He would come out and see me every Saturday. And
is this the stand across the street thing he's talking about? I used to have to stand across the street to wait on them.
Yeah, so he would pick me up in the church parking lot on the side because nobody was allowed to come to the house to pick you up. Like, they could drop you off, but they had to split.
Right.
So, yeah, he would pick me up around the corner from the house. But yeah, we were friends for a bit.
Like 2 months, probably.
Yeah, he would just come out.
Started over, kind of.
Yeah. Started over completely as friends. Like, we were not going to do anything, like, at all. We were just going to be friends.
Right.
And
now we're here.
A year later, we're 2 years later. Yeah. We just celebrated our first wedding anniversary.
Right. Congratulations again, by the way.
Thank you. It wouldn't have been possible without either one of you, too.
Thank you for the kind words. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Carrie is in the room. Listening in. You may hear her chuckle from time to time.
Carrie
probably won't say a lot.
Carrie planned my whole wedding.
Oh my gosh.
And Todd was the amazing DJ.
Thank you.
And he gave my dad a microphone.
Yeah, he asked for it. I wasn't going to say no.
Not too many people say no to that man.
No to that guy.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, it's...
You know, the crazy part is while we stayed away because of unfortunate events, I still was in contact with her dad.
Yeah.
Like, they went to family dinners.
Yeah.
While him and I weren't together. I'm like, how'd that work?
Yeah.
But I really hurt my dad in the process of my addiction. I really did.
Yeah.
Like, he swore he wasn't going to talk to me anymore. And Shannon reached out to him while I was in the program. And they had conversations. And he wrote me letters for her to give me when I got better. And I really hadn't talked to him much when I got into third phase. And then in graduation... He showed up in my graduation.
Yeah.
I felt like a kid on Christmas. I really did.
When would you say you took Jesus into your life, though? Like, officially, I have him in my life.
It was in November of 2022.
Okay. So during your stay?
Oh, yeah. It was only a month into my stay there.
Okay.
We had been at church, and the pastor had been talking about the 99, the lost one.
Yeah.
And the pastor... was an addict himself, is a recovering addict himself. And I felt it. Like, there was just something about it that just spoke directly to me. And that was it. Like, I knew that I accepted God back into my life. Like, things just started adding up. Like, me knocking on Mariah's door, her knowing the director of Hand in Hand, her being a volunteer, like, just things started adding up. And it just, there was no denying that God is real to me.
How did it feel?
Amazing. It really did. Like, it's undescribable. Because at times I still was like, well, is it really real? Or is that just me talking to myself? But there were just very real moments that you can't explain, you know? So, yeah.
And in that moment you knew, this is God.
Yeah. When I became clear-headed, because when I got into the program, I was still... high from everything. Like, I almost fell in the lake cleaning the rusty anchor boats because that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
And the next day I was still gone. So, I mean, I almost fell in the water. It was almost alligator food. But when I came out of that fog and I realized, like, the connection that Mariah had and the fact that there's cops that live on both sides of her and a cop down the street, and I knocked on her door. Like, there was no denying God at that point in time.
Out of all the people, you could have knocked on this cop's door, I knocked on this door.
Exactly.
And they know this person, they're a full believer, been saved. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
This happened for a reason.
Yeah. I told her, I said, just call the police. I just went out of the neighborhood.
Right.
And she's like, okay. She called hand in hand first. And she's like, oh, by the way, do you want to go to rehab? I'm like, put me on the spot, why don't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, like we made that whole agreement.
It's like saying, hey, you want some cheese? Like,
right. You know, and I wake up in the morning and Tim's cooked me eggs. And I'm like, oh, it's the first meal I've had in 6 days.
Yeah.
And you already had an application for it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the other thing. 6 months prior to that, when I was in jail, I'm an addict, so we're looking for those loopholes everywhere.
Right.
And I figured, hey, if I put my applications into rehab, they'll give me rehab instead of sending me to prison because I've already exhausted all my probation options, and they want to let me out on time served. And I already put my application into hand in hand. So, but they let me out on time served that time. So I said, screw it. I went and ran the streets some more.
Right.
Yep, I went and ran the streets some more. So when I showed up at Hand in Hand's doorstep on that morning, Miss Rebecca and Shannon walked out and they just looked at me and said, are you ready to come home? I said, yeah, sure I am.
The best decision you ever made?
Oh, yes. It definitely is.
Well, best second decision you ever made? First one was knocking on the door.
Well, yeah.
And
yeah.
staying.
That's the biggest part.
You were the first original decision. The best. I'll give her that one. Best and worst.
Choosing recovery and God has given me a purpose.
Yeah.
Has given me back so much that I thought I lost that I would never get back.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it if you get instant gratification. It's not. Like,
fleeting.
It is. Like, it's there for a moment and it's gone. It's just like drugs. It's there for a moment and it's gone. But you work hard for it and stick it out. Like, I never thought I'd have my daughter back living with me.
Yep. Shout out to Joe Bill.
I hadn't heard or talked to her in almost 8 years.
Yeah.
So
And she's lovely.
she's a teenager, but we have an amazing relationship. It's still a lot of healing that we have to go through.
Oh, yeah.
But it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it really is. Our story, like, I never thought we'd be in this position at all. Like I said, I've walked all over this man. I've lost our houses. I have stolen his money. And he still loves me.
Yeah, he's sitting right here. So I'd say he still loves you. But Shawnee, when did you take Jesus into your life? You said you were saved back.
I was saved, yeah, but I was still messing up.
Was that real? I was saved back, like.
Yes, like
okay.
I was.
Okay.
In the Berean Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And I was definitely saved. I felt it.
Okay.
I went back to my brother's house, rejuvenated, clean, and then as soon as I left, I started partying again.
And I say that because, like, people need to understand, being saved isn't like, okay, now life is amazing and I'm going to be the best person ever. It's not how it works. Like, it's work.
It's work.
Like, it's work, right?
Yeah.
Being saved, taking Jesus into your life, the journey's just starting.
Yeah.
Right? Just beginning.
I wish that I would have just kept the journey going, but things happen and, life happens. This time, I knew that it wasn't going to change when I kept driving down to Paisley to go to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then as much as I loved it, I did, I really did.
What's something that you learned after being saved and then having this knowledge of God you do now? Like, what's something you've learned in this journey?
Patience, forgiveness. Well, you know what? Forgiveness would have to be the best one.
Okay.
The biggest one.
Yeah.
How
to forgive or how to forgive?
It's it's a lot.
How to forgive other people, how to forgive yourself, or just all of it?
Other people
Other
and
people?
yourself.
Okay.
Because the regret I have from, getting fixed and then going to get high one last time, that messed me up.
Fix, you mean your heart?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a lot of regret for that.
Yeah.
Self-regret, obviously.
But you've forgiven yourself?
I forgive myself, yes.
Hard to
It's
do.
hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
Tremendously. What about what's one thing after you were saved that you learned?
That God loves me unconditionally. Looking back on my life, like, there's so many times I should not be here.
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I literally stood in the middle of oncoming traffic and wishing they would run me over at one point in time. And all they did was swerve around me and honk at me. So I know that I'm here for a reason. Forgiveness, like Shawn said, though, going through the program, I was taught that I had to forgive myself.
Yeah.
Because God has already forgiven me. And I've pretty much, I'm not going to say I've completely forgiven myself. There's things that I still am working on.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with my kids.
Yeah.
And I know that I need to let it go and just give it all over to God. But sometimes it's hard, especially with Jillian, just because she was so young when I did leave.
Right.
So that still gets to me.
Would you say that forgiving yourself is the hardest thing for a recovering addict to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
For everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I said the same thing with you with Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Nathan, we went through a really bad spell.
Right.
But that was, I would say 75% due to the woman I was with or with not.
And the
I guess.
drugs.
Yeah, and the drugs.
But that's, it's not just about them either. Like forgiving yourself just for things.
That I pray or wish I can go back on some things that I've not done or put Nathan into situations I shouldn't have.
Right.
And he still loves me for it. So, and he's in the Navy now. So.
Right. Yeah.
Which is
shout out to Nathan.
definitely.
Since we're shouting out Navy, I got to shout out to Shawn for Nathan.
Yes.
Navy too. Serving our country.
And so if we wouldn't have met, like if I wouldn't have knocked on that door that night, we would not have the amazing community and support, friends, and new family that we have in our life. It's all stemmed from knocking on that door that night, because like with you guys, we wouldn't know you guys if we wouldn't have knocked on Ryan and Tim's door. Nathan wouldn't have probably had as good of a chance as going to the Navy if I wouldn't have knocked on that door, because Shaw talked to him about it.
Right.
Like it was such a trickle down
the
effect.
connections are just
Yeah. And they always say recovery doesn't just happen to the addict, it happens to the whole family.
Yeah.
And it's true, because like just my dad stepping foot into my graduation started
Into your
that
wedding.
entire family healing.
Yeah.
And then giving me away at the wedding, like, yeah, it's a trickle down effect. And as long as you have integrity and you keep doing the next right thing, God's going to have favor on you.
Now, on a different note, what's something that you thought would happen now that you're in this space, in this, this life, this transition, that didn't happen?
Oh, I don't know.
Honestly, I learned not to have expectations.
Okay.
That's one thing that we learn in the program is don't put expectations on other people.
Okay.
You can put expectations on yourself because then you have to uphold them. But if you put expectations on anybody else or something else, you're gonna probably get let down.
Right.
So there were things that I wished would happen or prayed would happen, and in all honesty, they have happened.
Okay.
Just not in my time.
Right.
It's in God's time.
Yeah.
Like my kids, like as soon as I got in the program, I'm like, oh, I want my kids back. Like I've always wanted my kids back.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm doing better. They should, And that's the one thing that kept being drilled in my head. It's not on your time.
Yeah.
It's in his time. And here I am almost 3 years sober, and I have my kids in my life. I have my mom who swore me off when I left Michigan almost 10 years ago that she was going to have nothing to do with me. And here we are. We call each other at least once a week. And we just went and seen her in November. So when we went and seen Nathan graduate boot camp.
Right.
That was the first time I seen Jillian in 8 years.
Right.
So yeah,
Which was an awesome experience. So awesome.
It was. It's worth it.
100%. Shawn, what about you?
I would have to say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expectations. Because, I thought that I would be further in my career or make more money, and sometimes I'm not happy with my job, and
But did you
I'm
think
not happy with how much Nathan talks to me, because he should talk to me more.
I get that. You've told me, why doesn't he call me more? Yeah.
I'm upset about it.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, he's living that life we wanted him to live now. That's not because he doesn't love you.
No.
That boy loves you.
He's having experiences that he never thought he would have.
Exactly.
Guaranteed.
Everybody's told me how much he used to look up to me. And then on certain days, I didn't think about him first. And I still can't believe he's, still thinks of me that way. So.
It's a blessing.
It is.
That's where that forgiveness for yourself has to come
Yeah.
into play.
Yeah. But would you say, like, I know you're saved a while back, and you said obviously you've had trials since then. Yours is more recent, but you're speaking the same language. Like, you're saying the same things as far as like expectations, and not really anything I thought would happen hasn't happened. It may not be my time. Do you think that's just because of what you've been through in life? That it's like, how could I think this was going to happen after what I did? Or it's more like these things that I've wanted to happen have happened because I want to get clean. I want my kids back. It's all the things that a lot of other people take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I do.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both. Like, at first, I was mad because things weren't happening.
Yeah.
But then when I stopped and I started giving everything over to God and
Yeah.
little things started happening, and it's like, okay, it's the fact I got to put the work in.
Yeah.
As we say in NA, you didn't become addicted overnight. So easy does it.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be overnight that you're recovered. Like, recovery is not, there's not an end in recovery. You still live recovery every single day. You wake up and you make that choice to stay sober.
I think that's something that a lot of people miss on when it comes to those who have been in addiction.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you were an addict? No.
No, I'm still an
I
addict.
am an addict.
Yep.
I just don't do that anymore.
I just don't give in to my disease.
Right.
I have respect for it today. That, like, when I was really sick after the holidays, when we came back from Michigan, like, I went to the ER because it was like the third time got it, and they were like, oh, well, we'll give you some cough medicine with some pain reliever in it, and this and that. And I stopped and I'm like, well, what's in that cough medicine?
Right.
It's just like, well, a little bit of codeine. And I'm like, and I'm not gonna lie, my brain went through so many rabbit holes. I'm like, ooh, I'm getting it legally. They're giving it to me. I'm not coming in here faking it. Nobody will know. It's medicine.
Right.
But then I had to stop, and I had to tell myself that first drink of cough syrup is going to take me back out on the streets.
Right.
Because I have respect for my disease today. I know if I do that, I'm done.
Right.
Like, I've got another relapse in me, but I don't have another recovery.
Yeah.
And nobody ever really
I think you
understands
always
that.
have another relapse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you
That's
don't
the
know
easy
if you're
part,
going to
right?
come back from
Yes.
that relapse. That's why you can never guarantee that you got another recovery in
Yeah.
you. So I live every day just for the day.
I think that's the wherewithal that you've learned, and Shawn, you as well, that I know this is no bueno because I'm just going to head
Yep.
right that way.
I'm heading off to the races.
So I know no matter what my situation, that's not happening again.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to label myself as an addict because I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, that's
there's no
fair.
chance of me ever becoming an addict again.
Yeah.
Because I feel that, I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah.
So I don't like it at all.
I mean, it's not a badge of honor,
No, definitely not.
you know? And not to say that you shouldn't be proud of what you've accomplished, because you
Right.
should
Yes, you-
100% be
you should.
proud of what you've
Oh,
accomplished.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I know pride's a sin. Yeah, that's a different type of pride, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
This is something you've managed to do through the power of God
Oh, yeah.
to stay in the space you're in.
Yep.
But to both your points, it's not just under your power, under God's power. It's under community too, right?
Oh,
To
yeah.
help stay in that space. So it's three, just like Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
myself, God, and my family.
Community. Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Because there's no way for me, I know there's no way I'd be still sober if I didn't have my community.
Yeah.
Like the day I was at the hospital and they're offering that to me, I had somebody there with me. If I was by myself, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I want to say that I would have done the right thing, but I had somebody sitting next to me. Accountability, like if I take it, she's gonna know.
Right.
I want to say that I would do the right thing, but you never know until you're in that situation.
Right.
But I strive every day, and I wake up every day, and I tell myself I'm not picking up.
Right.
You know,
And
all
it's
I
a
have
good
to do
deal.
is get through one day.
Yeah.
We'll deal with tomorrow when it comes.
And prayer makes it better.
Oh yes.
It does.
Shawn
It sure
sends
does.
prayer every morning. It's the prayer on the radio, but he still sends it.
6:15.
6:15, driving by the Zaxby's.
Yep.
And this man prays every night at dinner.
Yeah.
Until we got married, he didn't really pray. Like watching his God journey since we got married, actually since before we got married,
Yeah.
it's been amazing. But since we got married, it's beautiful to watch. It really is.
Shawn, have you always been this kind?
Yes, I have. There was no time where I wasn't an a-hole, or even when I was high, I was still a nice person. I wasn't mean.
No, he wasn't.
I directed people, I was a manager for, a couple pool builders, and I've always been nice to the guys. But, recently I guess I haven't, but.
Yeah, he's always been kind and humble.
Nice.
He has.
Maybe
I would walk all over him, and.
Maybe that's why he put him in your life.
You got a good point.
Because to your point, who else?
I don't know.
Who else would have stayed?
Nobody.
Yeah, no.
Right? I say the same thing. Who else would have stayed?
Yeah.
This one. Still here, luckily. I thank God.
I'm lucky that Shawn is still thank God every day for him.
Yeah.
I do.
It makes a big difference in our lives when we have people that are there no matter what, and they're going to be there no matter what. Because when they're not, you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are going, yeah, come do this with me.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not there for you.
No.
They're there for the drug, for whatever it is, right?
Yep.
The addiction. And that's why they're there with you.
Yep.
And as soon as that's gone, so are they.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Every time I went to jail.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
It does.
There was a bunch of nights where, as soon as the drugs are gone, everybody's gone.
Yeah. The morning after.
Yeah. That's
Unless it just
the
rolled
morning
over
after is one of those biggest regrets that addicts have. The morning after.
Oh,
is
yeah.
Like
because
the
everything.
holy grail of the addict regret.
And that's why a lot just
real.
continue to get
Yeah,
high.
some
So that they can push that regret away.
Yeah.
And that's how you just fall into that.
I've actually never heard it said like that before. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You're ashamed of it, so you you cover it
If I
up.
stay here,
Yeah.
I don't ever get there.
Right, I don't have to face it. I don't have to admit it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the holy grail of regret.
Mm-hmm.
The morning after.
It really makes sense though. So let's keep it going. That's where Bender come from, right? I don't want to get to the end of it because then I gotta face it,
Yep.
Yeah.
right?
They'll
Yep.
keep drinking. They'll go right back to the DOC. They'll,
Yep.
That's crazy. And now, obviously, I already know the answer. Carrie knows the answer. Now that you guys are in this space, what's been the best thing about your life right now? Together, married,
the people.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thank her every day for the people she introduced me to.
Yeah.
And the ability to talk to other people about this disease.
Yeah. Because you guys are leading a group, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you might
Yeah.
as well call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lead an NA group every Friday night. And then my new position, my new employment.
Yeah.
There's a saying in NA, you can only keep what you have by giving it away.
Right.
So I get to give back to the men and the women that are in this program. I get to give them my experience, strength, and hope. Like
The program that saved you.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like just the smallest thing happened when we first opened the store, and that guy comes to me like 3 days later and he's like, thank you kept me from relapsing. And I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and then one of the girls, I had given her some advice at a random Saturday night meeting that we went to. Like we don't ever go to a meeting on Saturday night. We went to one. This girl was going through it and with her kids and stuff and being new in the program, and I got Jillian and I'm like, listen, keep fighting because this is what's gonna happen. And she come to me a week or so ago and she's like, I left the program. I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, when I left, all I could hear was you and my voice. As I got to the corner, turned around and came back. Like, I never thought I would matter like that or help change people like that. So I enjoy this. Like, I love being able to give back, even though I hate public speaking.
I know you do.
But
that's why this is so important to me to have you guys do this. One, I know you are both, neither of you are boastful people at all.
mm-mm.
And you are not a I'm going to get up in front of people and speak person. I think that's why you haven't spoken at any of the events and given your testimony.
Well, no, I did give my testimony at graduation. Want to see the graduation after mine.
Okay.
Yeah, it literally, they asked me to do it, And I wasn't given a choice because there's another thing in NA. It says if you're asked to do something for recovery, you don't say no.
Okay.
So
Because you're giving back.
Yeah. So the director called me and said, just so you know, start sharing more at meetings because you're getting up on stage and you're telling your story. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 7 minutes long. I fit it into a matter of 2 minutes. And it was like 10 pages long.
Yeah.
But I had people come up after me, so some people did understand it. So I had people come up after me afterwards, members of the board, like, we didn't realize how strong your story was. And I'm like, and again, like you said, I'm not boastful. Like, I don't think my story's all that. But I know it is to somebody that needs to hear it.
Right, and that's why this is important. Because some people never get to hear that. Right? Some people will still never hear it, but you just never know.
You never know who's listening.
The little piece of advice you gave someone made that much difference in their life.
Yep.
Right?
And that's why I continue doing it. I do. Like if they ask me to get up on stage and speak again, I don't know if I can do that. I might have to turn my head and have Todd ask me questions. I'm fine with that. It's just...
We'll make Carrie do it.
That's fine. She can do it with me.
It's okay. I'll do it all day. No problem.
Yeah.
That's part of my gift. My purpose is to speak out to people.
Yeah.
In the right way. Watch it, lady.
I'm a social butterfly too. But
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's like when I get to church, it's like my people.
Yeah.
It's been great watching him too. Over the last year, like he's always gone to meetings with me since we got back together. But yesterday got called out and he had to share yesterday at the meeting. Like it's the first time he has shared at a meeting in 2 years. But he always he's always there and he's always reaching out to these guys.
Yeah.
And he's always trying to help keep them on the path. And it's great to see him doing that.
Consistent.
That's awesome.
It is.
And that has to fill you just as much as it fills them.
Oh yeah, of course. Now I don't talk about it much because I don't like to be boastful.
Right.
But it definitely makes me feel happy. I mean, I can go to bed with a clear, I don't want to say conscience because I get
It's
that
just
all
a
the time.
full heart.
Full heart,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Definitely.
that love.
Love.
Keep you on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I even got 2 of the guys that made me Mother's Day cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like...
You never know who you're going to impact.
And these 2 guys are the biggest comedians ever.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And both are in separate phases, but
They're almost inseparable. Kind
they are. But they have so much respect for me, too, and I
Yes.
can see that.
Oh, I've seen it.
And when it comes to my daughter, because that was my biggest fear and concern, because I know there's been sleazeballs in the men's house before.
Yes.
And I'm like, bringing Jillian here, like, she's young, she's pretty, like, how is this going to go? And they've all, like, they're all her big brothers. Like, all of them treat her with utmost respect, and if somebody doesn't, she's got like 7 other brothers that it's
they're giving the side eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
I've told them a few times that I appreciate the respect that they give her and her.
The ones that I know you're talking about, they've been nothing but respectful.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're good dudes.
They are.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
They are. There was one bad apple, but he's no longer. So.
Sometimes you gotta trim some branches.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cut the cancer out.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. But yeah.
With the life you guys have right now, I can say I've been nothing but amazed at the walk you guys are on. This just goes to show you that it's possible.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you've said it so many times. It can be done. You've told me about how it can be done.
Yeah.
And without even a program.
Yeah.
Without even a program.
Things just like, no, I'm not doing
People,
it.
places, and things.
Yes.
Yeah.
God puts people in places for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
And now you guys are in those places. Didn't even know you were supposed to be at that meeting, but you were there for a reason.
Yep.
And it was to give that person for a 10-second thing.
Absolutely.
You were there for that reason.
Yeah. Me and Shawn will have different recoveries.
Yeah.
But we blend them well together.
100%.
You know, like there's not one clear way to do recovery.
No, but it's the same message. It's the same
Exactly.
language. Like,
Yeah.
to have different recovery processes and you guys are saying the exact same thing. Like, that's the difference. But where's it rooted?
God.
100%.
Yep.
Right? It all comes back to Him.
It is.
I try to bring my recovery into work with a whole bunch of alcoholics and potheads, and it works somewhat. And, you know, I got through to one person somewhat.
You told me, yeah.
And, you know, I gave him a devotional book, and he's reading it every day, so.
Step
you know,
in the right
It's
direction.
just little
a step.
steps.
It's a step.
Yeah.
And this is kind of off topic, but would you say that pool, stucco, painting, like biggest industries that have like drug and alcohol?
Concrete finishers.
Same thing. Industrial. Yeah. Okay. I thought
Restaurants.
so. Restaurants too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There are stucco
They're
guys
getting
back
whatever.
home every day, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting whatever you want in the back kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why a lot of people, like with the hand in hand, like we try to steer clear of when you get to third base, getting a serving job, because
Some of them
90%
have
of us.
Some of them have serving jobs.
Yeah, but you got to look at where they came from and what they did.
Okay.
So, like for me, a serving job is no go. Like,
Yeah.
I tell you, when you go to a restaurant and
Yeah.
you got 2 copies of your receipts,
Yeah.
don't leave the one empty.
Oh yeah.
Rip it up, and the one with the tip line, don't just put a bottom number. Make sure you fill the whole thing in,
I filled them both out.
or we're changing the numbers.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I filled them both out.
yep. If not, then they're getting a bigger tip than you thought you left, and they don't get in trouble.
I didn't even think about. I fill them both out just to fill them out.
Yeah. It's just those little things that it's so many drugs in restaurants.
I saw it happen to a pizza delivery. I seen a pizza delivery guy fill in the blank before on the
Yeah.
tip.
Yep.
That happened in Domino's in Bellevue with me.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Unfortunately, I am guilty of doing that in my past, but I
But
don't
that was
live
the
like that
past.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I make living amends every day that I can. So
Well, I want to thank you for really sharing your guys' story. Like, this is amazing because I've heard most of it, but there were parts that I didn't know.
And there's probably still some that we haven't, you know.
Yeah, thought about, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't come up, and they will eventually in conversation.
Yeah.
But the fact that coming from where you were to now just shows a life in Christ is a life well lived.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a prosperous life,
It
Yes.
is.
and it makes all the difference.
It sure does.
Amazing. Look, I love you guys tremendously. I know Carrie loves you
And
guys.
we love you guys.
The last thing I usually do is I give a spiritual tips from Todd for people to go out there and just do something Christ-like. This one is about giving back. Serve. Get into your community. You never know who you're going to affect. And it could be, it's really about time. It's the one thing that cost us the most that we can never get back, right?
Yeah.
of
But your
course.
time is worthwhile for people.
Oh,
To
yeah.
your point, I'm going to give back to this community that saved my life, and you do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get out there. Whether it's, I encourage more to serve. Yeah, people can donate money. That's cool, right?
It's those
But-
actions that
Yes, you're-
mean so much more to people.
Right, your time, your story, spending time with people that don't get that time
Yep.
means a lot, right?
Like my Friday night meetings, if I'm not there to open the door and there's a newcomer that comes, they're going to turn around and go hi because nobody was there to open the door and welcome them into a meeting because that's all they needed.
Right.
That's the reason why I can, like, they got thrown at me and I'm like, yep, I'll do it. And I've been doing it for what, almost a year now? And every once in a while I need somebody else to do it. But you know what? I enjoy that
Yeah,
because I know I can be there for that newcomer.
right.
So,
And you're helping them,
yeah,
giving them a safe place,
exactly.
you know. And I know your shirt, right? I won't say the name, but I love the music, and it's not one of the new songs, and it's real. Like, that's real.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't want to go, but I went, met someone. Cool. We're
Yeah.
gonna do this thing, and it means all the difference.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. A lot of
Yeah, it
different
does.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I love you again. I'll say it a million times. I really thank
We
you
love
for
you.
sharing your
We
story.
love y'all.
If anybody does hear this and they are struggling or anything, they can reach out to you to get my information
Okay.
at any time.
Put it in the comments.
Yep.
Seek out hand in hand.
Yeah, seek out hand in hand.
If you're local.
If you just want to just talk on the phone because you're not ready for recovery or anything like that, you can give them my number, give them my email address. I don't care. They can reach out to me. I'm willing to help anybody.
And for those who aren't local, there is a local recovery number center something.
Yeah.
But my encouragement is that it's rooted in God,
Yes.
because otherwise it's just a place to get you clean so you can go back out in the world and get more stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just from what I've seen. And you
Oh,
guys
no.
could tell me different.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
They kick you out like hand in hand. Once you graduate, you don't have to go anywhere. You ain't ready, you're not going anywhere.
But the,
You got that safe-
learning process,
Yeah.
because it's God rooted,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
different than any other rehab or recovery.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And you don't have to have money to enter the door.
Right. That's a big one too.
Yes. So
You
yep.
work it off. And you work.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys again. We're going to get some dinner.
Yes.
I love you guys.
Love you
Love
guys
you.
too.